Hello, and welcome. Hello.
Hi, my name.
Hello, and welcome. Hello, and welcome.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome to. Hello, top of the morning to you. Hello, and welcome to the new. Hello, and welcome to the. Hello, basketball fans, and welcome to the 1-year anniversary special of the Debate Mates. I'm Matthew Swanenburg. I've been here since day one, and here, three-time guest. I'm sorry, coming back for the 1-year Annie. It's Coach Z.
Good to be here.
Second most episodes ever, Jack Cashwell. Unfortunately, Nathan and Stretch, Nathan, who was the first guest I ever did it with, and Stretch, who is my current co-host, both are sick. But the three of us will go on and do this show anyways. Back here, in front of the TV, where episode 1 was shot on October 9th, 2018, coming full circle here today. And we're gonna talk about our most interesting topics of the season. Who's gonna win MVP? Who's gonna win all the awesome awards? But we'll start with the most boring awards and work our way up. So without further ado, who would like to announce the first award we'll be discussing?
Where do we go? What's our first award?
Sixth Man of the Year.
Sixth Man of the Year. All right. Well, I'll go first for Sixth Man of the Year.
Right.
I'm gonna go with Sabonis for the Indiana Pacers. I think in their playoff in their season last year, they were very underrated, especially with Victor Oladipo being out. I know when he hurt himself, it's pretty much you guys scratch out that team completely. But Sabonis, who would come off the bench, he averaged 17, 18 points. He does everything. He can shoot the tray, play a little bit of defense, get the board. So all-around overall contributor on a small market team. On a small market team that nobody watches. Just check him out one of these days. You'll love him.
All right, for my pick, I've got Lou Williams, Mr. Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah.
Last year, he averaged 20 points per game. This year, I could see it going down a little bit because he's going to share the floor with some more stars, and Kawhi and Paul George. And then, again, Montrezl Harrell, who I guess they kind of took votes away from each other last year. But, I mean, you can't argue with the success he's had over the past 2-3 years. So I have to go with Lou Williams again.
My pick was also Lou Williams because, I mean, who else would you really pick? And the reason that I think he's going to do really well this year is because he'll be coming off the bench under Patrick Beverley, who he's definitely better than. So if he could play potentially better than the starter that he's playing underneath, then I think that says a lot about his role on the bench.
Yeah, and I just know from my history watching basketball, when Lou Williams was a starter for the 76ers, he has a capability to play on the first line. And as a basketball player, for me, if you have the ability to score on first-team defenders, yet you're coming in 5 minutes, 7 minutes into the game, you're going against their second squad, it just really opens up opportunities. I think Vegas agrees with you guys.
Yeah.
They voted for Lou Williams to be sixth man, but do not sleep on Sabonis. Do not sleep.
All right.
Okay, I want you to stay awake until the end of NBA season and then wait for that award. It's going to be Sabonis.
So speaking of sleep,
Sleeper. Oh,
we got some sleeper
Oh,
picks
let's
here.
go.
A couple sleeper
Except for
picks.
me.
Jack, would you like to start off? And we'll
Sure.
go
My
this way?
sleeper pick is Fred VanVleet, the Curry stopper. Now, hear me out here. Fred VanVleet was the only player who received a Finals MVP vote outside of Kawhi Leonard, and there's a reason for this.
That's a good point.
Nobody really knew who he was until a couple seasons ago. He was in the running for Most Improved Player, and then he had a great Finals performance. And without Kawhi Leonard, I think he's going to get more opportunity. I think he could be a starter, but since he's really a point guard, and he's not going to start over Kyle Lowry. So I think on a team that's kind of not really in a rebuild, but they'll probably need it soon because they don't really have anyone on that lineup anymore who isn't either old or bad. I think he's going to have a bigger role this season than he has in seasons past.
All right, so that was my initial pick, but I'm going to change it up a little bit here.
Oh, the
All right.
change up.
I'm going to go with
Circle
J.J.
change.
Redick.
J.J. Redick?
New Orleans Pelicans.
That is so
I forgot he
smart.
got traded.
The Pelicans picked him up in the offseason from Philadelphia, and he's not going to get the starting role when you got Ingram, Ball, Holiday, Zion, and then Derek Favors, Jackson Hayes, whoever you want to throw in at the 5. So he's going to be coming off the bench, and he's got history as a starter, and he's performed really well there. One of the more underrated players in the league. He's consistently averaging 18, 19, 20 points per game, and last year was no different. So I don't see that change. Well,
I don't think J.J. Redick averaged 20
he
points a
averaged
game last
19
season.
points per game.
Yeah.
Last season?
Yes.
Did he
He's
really?
spot
Oh
on.
my gosh, I thought he averaged like 13.
No.
I haven't watched
And
J.J.
then-
Redick.
3-point percentage is always going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
Defense won't be as locked in on him. You don't have the best defender
Mhm.
or one of the best wing defenders chasing him around the line. So it's easily going to be Redick for me.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to say a sleeper pick. I actually signed a petition to the NBA to get rid of Sixth Man of the Year. I think it's that one award besides Coach of the Year that doesn't really matter.
Right.
I think you should really look at minutes, because you think about Ginobili when he's Sixth Man of the Year, Lou Williams. These guys are playing 30 minutes a game. You might as well be a starter. Just call it what it is. You're just coming off the bench. But you are spot on with J.J. Redick, because you're right. All the attention with their 5 potential MVPs on one team, right? And then you have J.J. Redick coming off the bench to shoot Trey. And did you see his first interview after practice with
Where
Zion?
he said Zion better not mess it up for
Yeah,
him.
it's like he brings that leadership and experience. Like he's been to the playoffs every season of his career, 13 for 13. I think he's going to be able to like guide that team on what it takes to win the preparation of that process. So add some intangibles to 19 points a game. Stat check. We need a stat check. I wish you had a little laptop.
All right, and now on to the next topic.
award.
We have Defensive Player of the Year. And real quick, I forgot to mention this when we started the video off. There's going to be a little best of compilation about halfway through the video. So make sure to keep watching the video and get to that. And then, of course, keep watching until the end to hear our MVP predictions and so forth and so on. So now on to Defensive Player of the Year, and we'll start back with you.
My Defensive Player of the Year pick is Anthony Davis, and I was kind of on the fence about this one because he is coming off of an injury, so you never know if he's even going to be available to play. He could have a season-ending injury that could completely keep him out of the discussion. But I think if LeBron James is going to keep playing defense like he did last season, someone's going to have to pick up the slack, and Anthony Davis is a capable defender. He's big enough to get blocks in the paint and play post defense, but he is agile enough and young enough to play on the perimeter against smaller players. And I think his defense is going to be an important role in what separates them between the Clippers, because those are everyone's 2 picks for the top teams this year, the Clippers and the Lakers. And the one thing that you can argue the Clippers have above not just the Lakers but everyone else in the league is defense. So I think Anthony Davis is going to have to step up and play good defense if they want to come out of the West and go to the finals.
Yeah, I agree with you on Anthony Davis as Defensive Player of the Year.
Nice.
Just because, like you said, the Lakers last year weren't known for their defense, and they didn't sign any great defensive players.
And they lost a lot of good defense,
Right.
like Ingram and Ball.
They signed Danny Green, who's a really solid defender.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, with the trend the NBA is moving now, if you're one of the top players in the league and you're a shooter and stuff, a lot of them are 6'7", 6'9" above. You got your guys like Curry and Harden, but your mega superstars, your KDs, Giannis, LeBrons, they're not short guys anymore.
Are you telling me Steph Curry's not a mega superstar?
He's mega.
He's a mega
he's
superstar,
100%.
But he's
so
like
is
my
Harden.
height. He's 6'3", 6'4".
Right.
Yeah.
He's even tall for a point guard.
Yeah, but so I think he's like with the trend the NBA is moving, where tall guys are now handling the ball. Anthony Davis is going to come more into the forefront with having to defend guys that are on the perimeter that should be playing center if it were 20 years ago.
Yep.
So I think he's going to have more like a bigger role guarding players like that. Your Giannis's. He's going to against like teams like Philadelphia where they've got Joel Embiid. He can fit playing defense against them too.
Yep.
So he can just defend 3 through 5 basically. I think he's a no-brainer.
Yeah, so I have to differ my opinion on Anthony Davis, and I'm glad Coach Stretch isn't here because he'd probably kill me. But I think the Lakers' defense is going to be very porous, and I think it's going to get shredded. And I think age has a lot to do with it. Like those players that we're talking about that you signed, the Rondos, the Danny Greens, the LeBrons, they're getting old. And it's hard for them to keep up like 110%, which you need in an NBA game the entire time. So I think teams are going to easily score 105, 110 points on them. So when you're voting for Defensive Player of the Year, we're going to look at like who's the best defensive rated team and then who's the best defender on that team.
Right.
So I'm definitely going to look towards the Clippers, and I'm going to throw both my picks in there since we're doing the snake draft, so I get a double, right? Defensive Player of the Year and Sleeper will both come from the Clippers. So it's going to be either Kawhi or it's going to be Paul George, and it's going to be whoever performs the best in the season. So like you said, Jack, if none of them get hurt, both of them are there, they'll look at some defensive metrics, we'll look at overall stats with steals, blocks, and rebounds, and they'll award it to that guy.
Right.
And then the Sleeper is going to be the other person because if they have a little bit better season. But in the playoffs last year with Kawhi, I mean, he's a former Defensive Player of the Year. And you look at Paul George, I think he finished third in the voting last year. Like, those guys are rock solid in the paint, off the ball. And when the games were really tough, the lights were bright. We're talking about Game 6, Game 7 in that Milwaukee season. Kawhi just shut people down. Even Golden State, when they needed a point, he was oftentimes on one of their best scorers, and they couldn't score. So
I was considering putting Kawhi Leonard just because he's always kind of in the discussion, but I think that being on a team with Paul George they kind of take away from each other, and it's like they'll be a force to be reckoned with together. But individually, it's the same reason that they both could be argued that they were the MVP last season. Well, at least in the postseason for Kawhi. But Paul George was almost won MVP last season. But it's the same reason that I don't have either of them being in contention for MVP this season. Because when they're on the same team,
You take away from each other.
you take away from each other. The same reason that, like, Lou Will with Montrezl Harrell, you mentioned earlier, they kind of took votes from each other. I think it'll be the same kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So then who is your sleeper?
Draymond Green.
Yeah,
Look,
Draymond Green's not
all right.
a sleeper. He's a
Draymond
bona fide
Green-
defensive star.
Draymond Green is a former Defensive Player of the Year. Say what you want about him, but
He's awesome.
Golden State this year, I think they are underrated in how well they're going to do this year, but they're going to be a bad defensive team. They're going to be a great offensive team, but think about it. Think
What
about
about Willie Cauley-Stein? The truth.
Yeah, but look at their
I'm sandwiched
backcourt.
between two Golden State fans right now.
I'm an Orlando fan. Well, I used to really like Golden State. I keep up with Golden State.
Okay.
But,
I'm an ultimate Golden State fan.
All right.
But keep going, Jack.
But with their backcourt, Steph Curry is obviously the defensive liability. D'Angelo Russell isn't a great defender. With Klay Thompson out, they're gonna have Alfonso McKinney or Glenn Robinson the third.
Yeah.
Okay, depending on who they start between the two of them, neither of them are fantastic defenders. I mean, they're better than Steph and D'Angelo Russell, but
Right.
And then Willie Cauley-Stein and Draymond Green are good defenders, but I think you could. I mean,
Draymond
Draymond's
Looney. Don't forget about Looney.
yeah, Looney. But I think Draymond's a better defender between the two. And you know Draymond, after coming off of a finals loss, he's going to be really fired up for the season. And there have been, he's saying he's really fired up for the season, really worked up for the season. He's been working. I mean, obviously you wouldn't say that you haven't been working hard for the season. But I think Draymond Green's going to come out and surprise a lot of people. He's going to have a bigger role offensively and defensively this year.
All right, so my pick is like real sleeper, like sleeper to the max.
Rudy
That
Gobert.
missed last season type sleeper.
Okay. Ooh. Okay, let's hear it.
So much of a sleeper that I'm not even sure if I'm going to pronounce his name right. It's either DeJounte Murray or DeJounte Murray, but I'm going to go
DeJounte.
ahead and call him DeJounte for the rest of this
We know after
part.
the 1-2K Blacktop match that DeJounte Murray is the MVP.
Oh, yeah. Man. So DeJounte Murray is my sleeper pick. A, because he was out all of last season. B, he plays on the Spurs. And C, the reason that I do have him in the mix is because he's a great defender. He's one of the better wing defenders. I think he's 6'5", 6'6". They have a new measuring scale now without shoes instead of with shoes. So
Why would they measure it with shoes ever? I didn't even know they did that.
I mean, that's why Allen Iverson was 6 foot. I mean, I've seen him in real life. He's like this big.
How would they measure KD at 6'9" in shoes? When
You
he's
wore the
7
high
foot without
platforms, but
shoes?
yes.
Well, I think what they used to do is they'd get measured independently and then they'd send them in.
What do you mean? Like they'd measure themselves?
Or been measured by like a team doctor or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you definitely have an inch or two when you're wearing shoes. and
Right.
You have your height.
Yeah.
So without shoes, I guess he's probably like 6'5", with them 6'6". And you wear shoes when you play basketball, fact. So
Yes.
6'6".
That's true.
Got a long wingspan for a guard. Kind of like Lonzo Ball, who you were saying earlier was a solid defender, except more athletic, been in the league longer. When you're playing with a
He's a
team
better
like...
offensive player too. I guess
Right.
that doesn't factor into it.
Right, when you're playing with a team like the Spurs, when you got Greg Popovich,
Great coach.
you're going to get worked a little harder on the defensive end than Lonzo will. So, like, as Lonzo has potential to be a DeJounte Murray-type defender, it's not going to get realized at the same rate unless he had a coach like Popovich, like DeJounte does. And then DeMar DeRozan has never been known for his defense. And then Derek White has not been known for much other than his postseason. Other than that, we don't
Besides
really know
getting
much
that
about
one
him.
good dunk against the Nuggets.
Yeah, and he had 37 points that one game. But other than playing against the Nuggets, no one really knows much about what he has to offer.
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray, again, you don't really know what he has to offer after last season, not playing, which also puts him into the sleeper mix. So, I mean, out of all the wings I mentioned, he's the one guy that at least is known as a defender, which is why I have him as a sleeper pick.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm curious to see too. This is maybe stats we can check about who wins Defensive Player of the Year, what their defensive team efficiency and rating is.
Yeah.
Because just off the top of my head, I'm thinking you have to finish in the top 5 as a team for any of those players to go. So I know some of the arguments you're making is okay, it's not as solid around, so that person's going to shine, but it also makes it very difficult for the individual. Other people aren't doing their jobs, and when you have a collection of really good defenders, you get even more shine because they're doing your jobs, and then you can.
Well, the one reason that I do think, I think the Spurs will have a great defense.
I think so too.
Like, not necessarily because all of their guys are talented on defense, but like the system, team defense, you can't. That's still
and the
just as
coaching.
valuable as personal defense, in my opinion. Even
Yeah.
as the game moves to greater one-on-one play.
And one of the best coached teams, I think that if you even games where they had load management and Tim Duncan and Ginobili and Parker were sitting out, they would still compete with any team they played against without 3 or 4 of their stars because everyone knows their role and their job. Should we go to Coach of the Year? Greg Popovich?
I mean, sure, Popovich.
Agreed.
Greg Popovich has to redeem himself after Team USA.
Oh,
Spurs
yeah.
are going for 77 wins this year. Lock it in right now.
82.
So on to our third pick, and then we're going to take a short break, and you guys can watch that. Now, what will be soon realized as iconic video of best of debate mates moments. We're going to go to most improved player. Jack, would you like to read off your script some more?
All right.
Calling them out.
Hey, all right. I gotta memorize it. I can't memorize it.
My pick. Got it.
My pick for most improved player, and this is, I think, I felt like this was an obvious pick. Is Terry Rozier.
Okay.
And Terry Rozier, obviously, he's not very good, but he's on a really bad team. So with Kemba out, do they even have players who are worthy of being starters on the Hornets? Can we be real for a minute?
Well, here's what I was thinking when you said that is, so it's not important why, but I was thinking about how I was going to introduce everybody when we started this. And what I was going to say, because initially we were going to have 5 people. It's going to be you, me, Jack, Stretch, and Nathan. So I was going to say Charlotte Hornets. You might want to call our agents because we got a pretty killer 5 here today if you want to win more than 10 games. But now that we don't have 5, I can't say that anymore.
I feel like the 3 of us alone can win more games than the Hornets.
Yeah. But anyways.
So the Hornets, they have 2 somewhat promising young players in Malik Monk and Miles Bridges, neither of who played great last season.
Who? Sorry, I don't watch hockey.
Miles Bridges. But outside of that, who do they really have? Nick Batum's old.
He is old.
And he belongs really overpaid. I don't know if he's still on the same overpaid contract he had been on.
Yes, that's what the NBA is. Guaranteed money, overpaid. You're always paid for what you have done, not what you're doing or able to do.
And I can't think of... I mean, if they're going to score more than like 60 points a game, Terry Rozier's going to have to average like 30.
Right.
It's true.
I mean...
Good point.
I don't know. I don't know who else could even play better than him on that line.
I do see some validity in that, but the only thing scary about Scary Terry is that contract.
Yeah, that's true. What is he making?
Too much.
It's something crazy.
I think it's like 168 million.
What? For how many years?
2?
No.
That's $80 million a year, man.
It was something like that.
It's double what LeBron's making.
It might have been 68 million. I don't remember.
I thought it was like 43 million for like 3 years.
I don't.
He would be the highest paid athlete.
I don't have my stats here. I have my picks
on the face of the planet at any given moment.
He paid 168 million.
No Cristiano Ronaldo. No Messi. It is Terry Rozier.
He deserves more money than the rest of that organization.
That's true.
At least he played well that one time on the Celtics.
Super max.
But my pick for most improved player is sticking with a Celtic, even though he's not with the Celtics anymore.
That's a good one.
I have Jaylen Brown, and
okay.
I like how you told me he was a good one before I even said who it was.
Oh no!
Just
I like that you said this so you didn't steal my pick. I thought you were going to say the same thing I was going to say.
Yeah. Well, but the reason I have Jaylen Brown is because he's seems like he's been in the year for about a decade, and every year he's been the same or worse as he was the year before that.
Yeah. Now's the time.
So, I mean, if I keep picking him, eventually it might happen. So, Jaylen Brown. That's my only reasoning. I picked him enough.
If his play next season, if the quality of his play next season is on par with the quality of his new haircut, I think we're in for quite a ride.
Right.
The Celtics are winning no games next season.
I think they're going to do pretty well. Especially with all their FIBA Epic experience. Actually, no, you're right. They're going to
Jaylen Brown is, like... He's never been a bad player, but it seems like... When have you ever heard, like... Jaylen Brown had a good game last night.
I mean, they were on top of the world when they had Jaylen Brown and there was that big Anthony Davis trade talk and no one was getting rid of Jaylen Brown.
Because he's got a lot of upside. He's an athletic player.
Right.
He dunks on Giannis every time they play.
Right.
But he can't shoot.
Right.
And they've kind of got a small forward mix-up on that lineup because they've got Tatum, is worthy of starting as a small forward. Hayward, you could argue, and then you could argue Jaylen Brown.
Right.
So it's kind of a spot that it's the same thing with like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George playing the same position. So I feel like he gets overshadowed by Tatum,
right?
Who is easily the most overrated player in the NBA, I think. But
yeah, and I think too when you add Kemba there now, like you're not missing too much from what was lost with like Kyrie when you add Kemba. So how many times are you getting the ball? How many times are you able to shoot? I think that's the biggest factor into most improved is looking at points per game. But then I will say there's a void or vacancy with Horford being gone. So we'll see. I think the shooting percentage definitely needs to improve. His 3-point percentage needs to improve. And his haircut.
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of Kemba, real quick, we won't go too far into this because it's kind of off topic. Do you guys think he's going to do well with Boston?
I think he'll do better than Kyrie did.
I think he'll do better with Kyrie because even from his college days, he's just a true 5-tool player. I think he's a pretty good defender. I think definitely gets the steals. He rebounds well as a point guard. And he's a team player. You know, he looks at some of the assists and some of the points, and he can shoot at a pretty high clip. I don't know what was going through Kyrie's mind, but I've always felt like he's one of those players that, hey, if I get my points and we lose the game, then I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if I look like I'm the best player on the court and our team loses, we're all right. And I think Kemba is like a competitor. He fits that Boston climate and that mindset that we're all in it together and everyone do their part.
Yeah. I don't think Kemba's going to do that well on Boston. I'm going to be honest. I think he thrived in Charlotte where he was the main guy. I mean, he'd still be the main guy in Boston, but he's not a playmaker.
Right.
I mean, he's not a bad playmaker, but he's a scorer.
Yeah.
He's a slasher and a shooter. He can do pretty much everything offensively, but he's not an incredible defender. I mean, for his height, he's pretty good, but I don't know. He seems to me kind of just like Kyrie Irving, but not quite as good.
Right, but he's a better passer, which is where
He's a
Jaylen
better
Brown
passer.
comes
Well,
in.
that's the thing. Boston needs a point guard that's
Yeah.
a playmaker.
Right.
Because Boston's best days in recent memory were when they had Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Rondo.
Right.
And Rondo isn't a scorer, but he's a great playmaker.
Yeah.
So he could set up plays for guys like Garnett and Paul Pierce, the guys who were scorers.
Well,
for that
Even
team.
the
But they're
Isaiah
never gonna
Thomas
get it.
year before, when Kyrie was
Well,
injured.
Isaiah
before,
Thomas
they
is
worked
a
like
scorer
more
too.
as a-
Isaiah Thomas isn't a great defender. I mean, he's like 5'9", so there's no way he could be a great
With-
defender.
with
He's not a
12
great
inch shoes.
playmaker. Yeah, he's not a great playmaker, but he's a great scorer. Same thing with Kyrie Irving. It seems like they're recycling through the same kind of player same kind of point guard every year, and they end up with like 49 wins and they get taken out in the second round, and that happens every year. I think they just need to shake it up with who they're using as their point.
I would like to add 2 things, and I'm probably going to forget the second one when I start this.
Okay.
But I think, like, for Kemba's perspective, we just talked about Charlotte, like how they really didn't have any other weapons besides him.
Right.
So as a coach, you can double team that player every single time.
Right.
You can put your best defender on it. When you have a cast of good players around you, it makes it a little bit easier to you, so usually your efficiency goes up in your
Yeah.
numbers. So I think there's been so many moments in NBA, and this is on to the second point, where like you ask somebody to do it on their own. I remember Harrison Barnes when he was like the third option, and Cleveland just really focused on Steph Curry. They focused on Klay Thompson, and it was like that playoff game 7 was like, Harrison Barnes, you need to be the one to score this game, because they're putting their best defenders on your top 2 scorers. He just couldn't get done. He didn't have that skill set. Or if like Steph,
Hard to believe.
yeah.
Harrison Barnes is another one of our 2K legends.
Yes, Harrison
Oh,
Barnes is
yes,
incredible
on paper, on
2K.
the stats, he's amazing. But
They have him as like a 78 overall every year. He's so good on 2K.
He's so good. And
Ben
that's-
Simmons. I mean, what?
What is
Who's
your
it?
top tier?
Harrison Barnes.
Harrison Barnes,
Ben Simmons.
Thon Maker.
Wait, on 2K?
Yeah, and then DeJounte Murray,
Oh no, DeJounte Murray over Thonmaker.
and then everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I can see it because on paper, even in high school, you'd be #1 recruited player from high school, McDonald's All-American. You're supposed to be his nickname is Baby Jordan. So before he played an NBA game, he was supposed to be
He's
the
Jordan's
second
father
coming
on 2K.
second coming of Michael Jordan, but that doesn't translate into the game. You're
No.
so athletic, so fast, you get away with it in high
It
school.
doesn't
and college.
translate into the game, but it translates into the game.
the game. You're
Yeah, right.
Into the game. You're right on
Alright,
paper.
so
Here, where's my pick?
here's-
All right, this is the Kemba Walker show now. All right, my pick. Who is my pick? Siakam,
For most improved player?
most improved player.
Again?
Is he? Wait, he was last year?
Yes.
Oh my God, my pick is ruined. It's over. You can't do it.
He jumped from like 2 points to 16 to 30.
I know, but that he has the potential of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that's never been done in NBA history. Someone winning most improved 2 years in a row. But now history will be broken because the void of Kawhi is gone, and he was amazing last year. But
And
now
Kyle Lowry's so bad.
I
He's
love-
so bad.
I love salt, pepper, just a little bit of Lowry. It's a dish. It's a recipe for success. Add salt, pepper, and just a little bit of Lowry.
The less Lowry, the better, I feel like.
Okay, so I can't use that one. All right, I'm screwed. Next.
The Sleepy Ricks.
Sleeper pick, Lonzo Ball. Okay? Now, I know this story comes out every week that he's changed his form. But if he does, every time you pull up Instagram, you see a Lonzo Ball video. Lonzo Ball's new form, and he's shooting it the exact same way.
Right.
He actually has, or I found a video of it. Now, it's not pretty, but at least it's on the right side of his face.
Right.
So, I think if he can improve his shot, he improved his defense. Like, in his first season, he did literally nothing well. His first season, he did nothing. He passed kind of well, but he couldn't shoot, and he wasn't a good... Like, coming out of college, even, nobody saw him as a defender.
Right.
In fact, you consider it one of his weaknesses. Now he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the game. He's big for a point guard. He's like 6'6", 6'7", for a point guard. So if he can be a great defender, and he can provide some scoring for the Pelicans, I think there's no reason why he couldn't win it.
Those are all good points, but the one thing I have a problem with is you calling Lonzo Ball the premier perimeter defender
How
in the
is he
NBA.
Not? He's the second coming of Jason Kidd. I agree with you, Jay.
How is he not a good defender?
I'm not saying he's not a good defender.
He's a great
He's one of the greatest defenders.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I said.
Yeah.
I said he's one of the top... one of the top perimeter guards in the league. Not players.
Keep it up.
Guards.
Keep it up, and we're not inviting you back. For the
You know what,
Yeah,
Matthew?
listen,
Okay.
he's
He forgot Siakam won most improved player last year. I don't want to hear it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So then my sleeper pick for most improved player, I like to go heavy on my sleepers. I don't like to pick like some random guy that.
Yeah, just wait till you see who he has for MVP.
My sleeper pick for most improved player. Drum roll, please. Ben Simmons.
Oh my God! Shut up. No way. Ben Simmons?
Yes.
Take over.
On 2K,
if he has developed a jump shot over the summer, if he comes into the NBA with a jump shot, if he comes in this season with a jump shot, hits even 25% of threes, he's a lock. If he's a 3-point shooter by the time the season starts, not even like an elite one. If he can even make 2 out of 10.
Yeah. But if he takes 10 3-pointers a game, then how often is he scoring off the drive? Because he can already do that. He could average like 16 points a game off of drives.
Right.
But if he starts shooting threes, that's just less points he scores off of the drive. It just gives him his points in a different way. It doesn't give him any more points. Not by a lot.
Yeah, but what's the big...
Unless he's making like 6 a game.
The big story of the 76ers, even if they're like the best team in the NBA, if Ben Simmons comes into the season and he has a jump shot,
he won't.
That will trump any other...
Yeah.
That would be the
about
greatest
the
like storyline in the NBA ever.
Yeah, I just really I know there's that whatever the book about like 10,000 hours, and some people even say like the 14 years of developing something, but not just developing, but having confidence in it. And since this has been his storyline for his career, unable to have like a mid-range or like a long jump shot, it's very difficult to translate into a game, especially a game with pressure.
Right.
So I know you practice all summer. I think DeMar DeRozan did it with his three-pointer in the beginning of the year. He was hitting it a few times, and then you shy away when the moment's big. But Simmons too. There's a lot that's I think a lot in your head when you need to take a jumper to score versus doing what your bread and butter is,
Right.
slashing and driving. If he does though, you're right. Absolute lock, most improved player, because that would respect the drive so much more, so he can actually probably score more efficiently on a drive if people are stepping out to guard his jumper. But we'll see.
Yeah, and the assists would go up too, I think. So, because if you have to defend them further out. So we're gonna take a quick break. You guys are gonna be able to watch our best of.
Oh,
Hopefully
thank God,
you enjoy.
someone keeps calling me.
And we'll be right back with our final 2 picks.
Yeah.
Swanenburg, and I'm, as you can tell, a Carolina fan, but that has nothing to do with the NBA. So, other than that, I'm a huge Kevin Durant fan. He's been my favorite player as long as I can remember, and I can hear the sound of everyone clicking away from this video right when I say that.
Nikola Jokic destroy him on offense either.
I agree with that.
LaMarcus Aldridge is like he's a pretty sturdy guy. That was weird.
Yeah.
But like he does.
He's not a pushover.
Yeah. The biggest piece of news, though, easily taking over all of the media outlets, world-altering change, really, is the debate mates got shirts.
What? Yeah, the babies did get shirts.
Debate mates got shirts. Obviously, since we only have 50
awesome.
subscribers, we're not going to make them in bulk.
Right.
Have enough for just the members. So
$25.95 if you
alright,
want a
let's
shirt.
just open it up. You can't wear that for the show. So being a guest for your second time.
Yes, this is the only reason I
Toss it
do
on
it.
over the shirt.
Yes, this is the only reason. I finally got it. Thank you. Thanks, man. That's awesome. Oh, good stuff. Okay. So this is what I'll wear every time from now on. All right.
There you go.
Hey, get ready for like your online account because as soon as they see me wearing this, it's gonna sell like hotcakes.
What's next for Melo? A job in China.
It's true.
We're gonna get Lala back because you're not playing in the league, bro. Woo! Boy, that was good stuff right there. That was good stuff. And obviously, he needs to go take a job
Better
overseas.
weather though than OKC, 100%.
Have you been here this?
We might get snow, but they get like tornadoes and hurricanes.
I
and,
do
like,
agree with. We get hurricanes.
every day is like a scene from Wizard of Oz
Yeah,
and
yeah,
OKC.
it is. Because it is. That's where we're not in Kansas.
I went to California a couple months ago. We went to the airport. We had to fly a bunch of places. We flew into the Oklahoma City airport.
Oh,
It was like the dinkiest little place I've ever seen. They had one
Yeah.
shop that was named after Russell Westbrook. It was like Brick Store or something like that. And
This guy
they
coming out and shit. Look at the butterfly, baby. One store open, brick shop,
They-
named after Russell.
had like a Moe's. Like they couldn't even afford Chipotle. Like
Oh
you know how
man.
it is.
Yeah, and the fact that you said
Go on. That was horrible. Go on. It's too late to restart. Keep going.
oh gosh.
The fact that. Gather yourself. I'll continue while you gather yourself. So.
Come on, Melo. You better than that, bro. Like, come on, man. You're better than that, man.
So on to the second part of the.
I used to teach kids your moves, man. I'm disappointed, man. I'm disappointed.
When I used to train with you, we had one training session that was all about Russell Westbrook too.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
No, we did
I
not.
promise you we did.
No, we did not. I remember I gave you a Kobe day. We did all Kobe moves.
I remember we did one for Westbrook because I remember I just seen Civil War when it came out, Captain America Civil War, and then I came to train with you, and you were like, "We're gonna have a Westbrook themed workout today."
But I
And
had
maybe-
you miss a whole bunch of threes.
Yeah, probably might have lowballed him. I don't know.
They had to lowball him because we're
Right.
trying to get Kawhi, and that's fine that he's
I don't
back
think
in
they should have
the
got.
Clippers.
I don't think they should be targeting Kawhi though.
Why not?
I've said this from the beginning.
First of all, Kawhi wants to play alongside another All-Star. He doesn't want to do it by himself again. He realized how hard it was, and he doesn't want to do it again like that.
Right.
So chances of him going back to Toronto are decreasing. Chances of him going to the Clippers decreasing. Chances of him coming to LA with Bron and AD. Oh,
I would say.
you should make me float right here. I don't know if you can do it.
I would say there's a 0%.
Oh. All right. Oh yeah, he's nervous. Welcome to Debate Mates. In celebration of our over 100 views, we are now dumping Matty S. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Dump squad. Debate Mates.
Alright, so welcome back to the Debate Mates. I hope you guys enjoyed the best of video. And now let's get back into the final two topics. We've got MVP, we've got Rookie of the Year. So I think we'll start with Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And I'll let Coach Z start because he's been having some struggles. He's been having a lot of issues with this one.
So, alright, so I have to the Debate Mate fans out there a lot of struggles with rookies because I don't believe in the college basketball game translating to the NBA. I'm all about you proving your worth in the NBA against some of the world's best players. So actually, as a fan, I follow my college basketball team, watch every single game, but I don't know too much about college basketball. And even March Madness, I may watch a few games, but not too much. But I love doing, like, checking a draft class. Like, 2015 draft, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and seeing, like, oh, what players from what schools actually became decent NBA players. And that's fascinating to me. You say, oh, they went to Kentucky, they went to Duke, went to Kansas. So my pick for Rookie of the Year, and this is a very, like, light pick with no research or just some intuition, just opportunity, is going to be R.J. Barrett with the Knicks. I know the Knicks, they lost out on the sweepstakes for KD and Kyrie, so there's plenty of opportunity there. I look at if you have opportunity mixed with a lottery pick talent, usually that bolds for favorable stats. Rookie of the Year, who wins it? Whoever has the most points per game, right?
Right.
Pretty much.
Right, you got to be in the top 3 in points, and then you can add some other categories in there. So he's going to be able to shoot the ball 55 to 60 times a game. With that lineup, they have one play. I've seen the play on the internet. It's like pass AJ Barrett the ball. passing the ball. That's their one play. They just double pick and roll.
Nothing else that they
double
can do
screen,
well.
pass it to him, let him shoot the ball 60 times a game.
Okay, your pick, Matthew?
You want to go ahead first?
Okay, my rookie of the year is Kobe White.
Okay.
And I think Kobe White is a really underrated player. I think that because, well, I don't know. I just like Kobe White, you know? I'm a UNC guy.
If marijuana is legal in Chicago, then it won't be.
Everything is legal in Chicago. But I think that on the Bulls are not a good team.
Yeah.
They've got Lauri Markkanen is good. They've got Zach LaVine.
Right.
And Chris Dunn's okay.
Okay.
That's about it. So if they need someone to play point guard, I mean, Chris Dunn, like, is he that good? No. So I think Kobe White could start over him. He's a good shooter. He's good at driving to the basket. I think he'll be a good offensive threat for them. He's not a great defender, but he's kind of big for a point guard. He's 6'5".
Right.
So, and with the hair, he's like 6'10".
Right.
So I think he could be what?
Shoes
6'11". You're right.
7 foot maybe.
Yeah.
Socks,
So-
7'2".
7'2".
Still 7'6".
He's basically 8 feet tall. And
On top of the Empire State Building, 127 feet tall.
Yep.
he'd be much taller than that, but
I don't know how tall the Empire State
it's
Building
like
is.
probably 1,000 feet at least.
Then he's 1,000 feet tall.
Okay, so he's basically a giant.
Yeah, I guess
And
about 1,000 feet.
I think he'll be a good addition for a bad team, and I
Right.
think that's typically how Rookie of the Year goes. Like, I mean, because obviously the best picks go to the worst teams, unless you get like
Right.
really lucky in the
Mhm.
lottery.
Pretty
with
nice
the lottery.
That's a pretty interesting philosophy.
Yeah, so I just good player on a bad team puts up good stats.
Oh yeah, that's it.
The one reason, like, I agree that Kobe White is going to put up pretty good numbers, but their head coach, Jim Boylan, and this is something that I probably, like, I only know it because there's a TV show I used to watch, an NBA TV show, which is actually the reason I wanted to start this show, going back to, like, the 1 year anniversary, making it all tie in.
Is it the starters?
Yeah, the starters, and
Okay.
one of the guys on the show is a huge Chicago Bulls fan. He's from Chicago and stuff. So he, I guess, follows the team extremely closely.
Mhm.
Extremely close, I don't know. And you're a teacher. Extremely closely? Extremely close?
Not
Close.
an English teacher.
Closely,
Okay.
because it
We'll
describes
just
how
say
he follows it.
we'll just say he
Oh,
follows
okay.
the team closely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Let's
And
go that one.
so he knows, I guess, about the coaches and stuff. He goes to, like, the training camps and stuff. So he, according to him, Jim Boylan is a coach that likes to slow it down. And
Okay.
obviously the Bulls aren't on a lot of TV, so I don't know if, like, I don't really watch them, so I can't say how slow they played, like, their pace,
Mhm.
really, because I don't also look at pace stats.
Yeah.
But I'm going to believe what he's saying, and Kobe White's main thing, the
He's
reason
he's
Carolina was
fast,
good
yeah.
was because they played fast. That's always what Carolina's known for, playing
Yeah.
fast. And Kobe White
Why would
is
you?
no
Why
different.
would you have a slow paced lineup with Zach LaVine and Kobe White on your team? That makes no sense. That coach needs to be fired.
If you don't have a lot of scorers, you're playing like this game of
But
half
Zach
court
LaVine,
ball.
Zach LaVine isn't as good in a half court setting as a full
Right.
court setting because he's quick. He can
Yeah.
like on a fast break. Who's stop? Like what guard is stopping Zach LaVine? He's quick. He's athletic. He'll jump over you. You know.
Yeah.
And same thing with Kobe White. He'll get to. I mean, he won't jump. Well, he is like 8,000 feet tall, but he'll drive. I mean, those two. That front court needs to be in a fast paced lineup. I think.
Right. My going up back with tall people, my rookie of the year pick is Bol Bol. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Is that actually a pick?
No, my rookie
Okay.
of the year is going to be Cam Reddish from the Atlanta Hawks.
Reddish.
Voted by the players most likely to succeed. The superlative.
He was drafted, I believe, 7th overall, or 6th overall. 6th overall, right
Cam-
before
Cam Reddish?
Kobe White.
Cam Reddish?
Yeah.
Got drafted 10th.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, Kobe White got
Stat
drafted.
guy.
Got drafted 10th, as I said. But that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with what I'm saying. But
Okay.
anyways, he's a really good shooter. I think he would have flourished more in a different college.
Yeah.
But he was with Zion and RJ. And Atlanta, I kind of have a little bit of bias towards Atlanta because they have 3 out of the 4 players that went to Maryland, which is my college that I root for,
Yep.
on their team. So he's going to get a lot of playing time, I think. Their 2 guard that they have right now is their starter. He's going to be their starter, Kevin Herter, from the University of Maryland. He averaged about 9 points, 40% from 3 last year. So he's going to be playing behind him.
But as much as I am a Maryland fan and like Kevin Huerter and like know his potential, the difference between them isn't going to be like so big where it's like Huerter plays 30 and Cam Reddish is over here playing 12 minutes a game.
Yeah.
The Hawks are a team. We saw this with Trae Young, and I'm going to go back to Huerter again. Kevin Huerter, they make something out of a rookie. They made Trae Young go from the 5th pick, and no one really knew much about him other than he went to Oklahoma, and he was a shooter. And they turned him into the best thing we had besides Luka Doncic, and which was pretty close to Luka Doncic in some people's opinions. So they have a history with turning good rookies, solid rookies, into pretty good NBA players, and I think this is going to be the same.
Yeah. And so why do you think that, what was the award that Cam Reddish won? It was like voted by the players of who had the most successful NBA career, and that was over like Zion and RJ. Okay.
Everyone is already counting Zion out of Rookie of the Year.
Well, he's my sleeper
because
pick.
so many people were like, "Oh, Zion's going to be an immediate All-Star," and then people were so upset that people were already because did you guys see the ESPN thing? I know you did because you sent it to me. Of Zion being ranked being 7 spots better than Klay Thompson in terms of
ranked 42nd overall,
and Klay Thompson was ranked 49.
Yeah, we've had
Klay Thompson with his torn ACL is better than Zion Williamson.
Yeah,
but people are so upset about the Zion overhype that they completely underhype him. I feel like it's the same thing with Lonzo Ball. Everyone was like, Lonzo Ball is going to be great. He's going to be an All-Star. He's going to win MVP in his first season. You know, like Lonzo Ball super fans.
His dad was saying that.
Well, yeah,
that's about it.
And same thing with
who
Zion.
do you hang out with, Jack?
What do you mean?
Yeah, people talking to you about Lonzo Ball being MVP.
No, don't bring me into this.
Well, it's the same. We lose the credibility on this show.
It's the same people that were, the 9-year-old Steph Curry fans, right? You know, they like. Okay, you know what I'm saying. It's the same thing with Zion Williamson. People saw, oh, he did well in college. He did some cool dunks in high school. Everyone was like, he's going to be a future MVP. He's going to be an all-star. And people were really overrating him. And people were so, I think, opposed to the overhype that they were like, oh, no, he's going to be horrible.
Right.
Same thing that happened with Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is not horrible. He's not great like a lot of people thought he would be, but he's not a bad player by any means.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like it's unfair that so many people are immediately counting him out of the discussion. And they're using the fact that he injured himself one time as an excuse as to why he's not going to play.
Have him as your sleeper?
I don't, but I don't think he's going to be bad.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. Like, you make a great point about that expectation curve. All the guys were saying were drafted lower than Zion, so if they made something out of a decent NBA season, you would consider it a success. When you're drafted number 1, you're expected starter, and you're supposed to really contribute. My knock on him, and I told Matthew in a previous video, is that he's so physically gifted that you get away with not being as technically sound with your shots, with your moves in the post, because you can just impose your will against other players in high school and college. And when you get to the level of the NBA, those guys can jump just like you can. They're just as athletic as you. Maybe not as athletic as him, but they can play great defense. And if you haven't developed a good repertoire of skills and stuff, it's going to be difficult.
It's the same reason that Ben Simmons got locked down in the playoffs.
Right. And your sleeper pick for most improved player is one of the reasons why I don't think he'll be Rookie of the Year.
Who did I put?
He went to a team where he's not necessarily going to be the best player. Like Kobe White might. Well, Kobe White won't be.
No.
And neither will Cam Reddish. But a lot of these rookies, John Morant potentially, Jaren Jackson Jr. is with him, RJ Barrett, like most of the guys that most people are putting as their Rookie of the Year, they went to teams where either they were the best player or they weren't far from it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Zion Williamson went to a team with established, not necessarily established stars, but established players. Yeah, right. You got Lonzo Ball.
First team, Lonzo Ball.
And then at center, Lonzo Ball. But they have Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram,
Lonzo Ball.
Drew Holiday, who people are completely writing off
and
as
he's
the
actual
best player
on the team.
Face of the team.
He is.
He's the best player.
The one guy that actually owned up to him being the face of the team was David Griffin, their GM.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like Zion's coming in and all of a sudden it's like, all right, Zion, it's your team now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be
the reason nobody talks about Drew Holiday is because he's not a flashy player.
Right.
He's not like Klay Thompson who makes every 3-pointer.
Right.
He's not like James Harden, who obviously is on practically every highlight reel.
Right.
Because he plays great defense and he scores a pretty good amount.
It's
He's not a great
efficient,
shooter. He's not like amazing at any one thing. I mean, defensively he is, but
he's definitely in the conversation with my circles about being like one of the top two-way players.
I thought you were gonna say MVP.
No, top two-way players. Like, you think about, like, Kawhi Leonard, you think Paul George, and I think Drew Holiday. Like, he's so good defensively, and he contributes very effectively with assists and points on the offensive end.
Yeah.
All right, now do we have sleeper picks?
Sleeper pick for me, or for you want to go first?
Well, just to add on to this conversation, my sleeper pick is Zion.
Okay.
You know, I feel like it's kind of if he goes out, there's, like you said, less pressure on him because you have other capable scorers and overall some talent on that team. If he goes out, let's throw out a line there, 17 points, 9 rebounds a game, I think that's Rookie of the Year stats.
Right.
Well, I mean, DeAndre Ayton put up like 18 and 10, and he didn't. He wasn't even in the discussion.
Yeah, but he played for a terrible team.
Well, yeah.
And he played
That's true.
against Luka Doncic was in his draft.
Luka
class.
was
Yeah,
like-
Luka and Trae Young.
Yeah, when you talk about Luka too, and like all these established NBA players, like after the Golden State game with Dallas, like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, like he's gonna have an awesome future in this league. He plays like an 8-year vet, and he's a rookie.
Luka's
Like,
Because
always
he is an 8-year vet.
Yeah, he is an 8-year vet.
Overseas.
Yeah.
He's been playing since he was like 15.
Ooh, what does that bode for LaMelo? Is he gonna come into the league just taking it for a storm?
decade vet.
LaMelo Ball is like. I mean, do you think he'll ever make it to the NBA?
Yeah.
Did you see he made me lottery #1?
That's insane.
Did you see that?
He's so.
They like
Thin,
NBA
though. How is he?
NBA
He's
GMs
not-
are now saying like
He's not. He doesn't
actually-
have the athleticism for the NBA.
I think he does. I think we're
Well,
used
he's
to
big.
seeing him
He's
at 13,
6'7".
14 years old. Now he's like growing and he can
No, yeah,
jump.
he's like. How old is he now? Like, he's got to be at least.
This is
18.
will be his freshman year of college.
Yeah, he's like 18. He's tall. He got really tall. He's like 6'7". He's
Wow.
like 6. But I swear,
Silky
he,
smooth jazz.
6'7", 67 pounds. He would get dominated in the NBA.
You're right. They said the same thing about Brandon Ingram and Kevin Durant.
Well,
They're
Brandon
decent.
Ingram has a crazy long wingspan though,
Yeah.
and he has a jump shot that wouldn't get blocked in the NBA. LaMelo Ball shoots from like his chest,
Mm-hmm.
so
And
yeah.
Okay, sorry, sleeper.
Who's your sleeper pick?
My sleeper pick
Yes.
for Cam Johnson, one of my most hated players in
Oh,
college.
that's who I was gonna say. Oh, now I'm gonna change it up.
In college, I hated Cam Reddish because I'm a UNC
Do you know
fan.
any rookies that
Okay.
didn't go to Carolina?
Zion Williamson. But all right, call me biased, but the fact is I actually didn't like him in college because I got
I can say that's
so
true, yes.
I got so tired of watching him launch a 30-footer on every single play and it hits the side of the backboard.
But if it goes in once,
But if it
every
goes
60
in once,
times, goal.
It's right. That's what I'm saying. That's what Phoenix needs because Phoenix does not have great shooters.
Mhm.
Well, Booker is a shooter, but I mean Booker's more of a scorer than he is like a great shooter.
Right.
And they have I'm blanking on the name, but I know they have like
Rubio. They
Rubio
signed
can't
him.
shoot.
Or they signed him.
Uh,
shoot.
I know they have one other guy on the team who can kind of shoot. I don't remember his name. He's not an important player in the league.
Right.
They could use shooting. They could use a boot like an instant offense type player because that's what Cam Reddish is. I mean, he's like Nick Young.
Right.
Nick Young isn't a great player, but he can get signed to a team because he's an instant. You sub him in the game, he might just
Flag
drop
peak.
like 9 points in a minute.
Right.
Just if he hits a few lucky threes.
Poor
I
man's
think-
Lou Williams.
Phoenix. Okay, at the end of the day, Phoenix they can't get any worse.
That's
so
true.
you might as well sign him. You know, you might as well take him.
Right. My sleeper pick, and I'm going heavy on the sleepers. Ignas Brazdeikis.
Who even is that? Who is that?
Of the New York Knicks.
Oh, you did the New York Knicks mentality. Okay.
Because the Knicks aren't very good, and he went to Michigan, so as a Maryland fan, I saw them play Michigan a fair amount of times.
What's his name?
Ignas Brazdeikis.
Ignas
Okay.
Brazdeikis.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Well-
I've seen him play a couple times. I kind of know he's a good three-point shooter,
Mm-hmm.
and that takes you a long way in the NBA.
What position does he play?
Small forward. I don't
Small forward.
I'm
Yeah,
kinda-
you don't even know.
I'm just going off.
That's a good sleeper pick. The New York.
It is a
mentality,
sleeper.
And I
plenty
mean,
of opportunity.
You're playing at Madison Square Garden, and your first name is Ignas. You're gonna get headlines.
Well, yeah, but and at the same time, it's like if he's playing for New York, he's automatically going to do better because
Right.
it's a bad team. And if you have him as your sleeper pick, if he somehow does win Rookie of the Year, that's the greatest prediction of all time. And if he doesn't, you could just say, well, I mean, he was my sleeper pick. So
Right.
yeah. There's
risk.
no way to go
respect.
wrong.
Right. All right, and now we'll move on to the greatest award,
The most
That there
important,
is.
the only one,
the most important
the only
award,
one
the
that
biggest
matters.
award,
that matters.
Coach of the Year.
Ah, yeah.
All right, so okay, we're going to the MVP award.
Yeah.
Who wants to start this one off?
Matthew, why don't you start it? You have started it
Yeah,
off.
you start.
Oh, okay.
Just don't take my pick.
All right, so my pick for MVP,
Jack, you saw this earlier, and
Yeah.
you seemed to question it a little
Let me
bit.
check my
I
cards.
question more your sleeper pick, but go on.
All right, my pick for MVP. Well, I was thinking about this yesterday because
Okay.
that's when we just figured out what topics we were going to talk about, and I was thinking of this player. I was thinking about him as my sleeper at first, and I started to think about it more and more and more, and I was like, why is he considered a sleeper? He should be the number one pick, and that guy is Joel Embiid. If so many people are saying that it's either the Bucks or 76ers who are going to be the kings of the East, it's really varying upon, like, it's 50-50 split, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And, MVP is glorified most improved player. You're not going to win an MVP playing the same you did last year, even if
Right.
you're just as good.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant could have 5, but he had 32 points per game one year, won MVP, never been able to hit that clip again. You're not going to win MVP.
Right.
Steph Curry had 30, averaged 31 next year, more threes, gave it to him again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Giannis expanding his game that much. The Bucks are not going to win more than 60 games, most likely. So, no matter how you look at it, the Bucks are going to have a down year, considering what they did last year.
Right.
The 76ers, they don't really have much to go but up. So, that's why I'm putting Joel Embiid in that conversation. He said
But
he's not...
what puts him over Giannis?
So, first of all, that Giannis won last year, and I don't see him improving to a
If
drastic
he
amount.
can get a jump shot, though, it's the same thing with Ben Simmons.
Right.
If he comes into the league with a jump shot,
Right.
then it's a lock.
Right, but also with MVP, it has more about team success than most improved player.
But the Bucks could do better than the 76ers.
The Bucks
It's really a
could
toss-up.
definitely do
for-
better than the
yeah.
76ers. And then Joel Embiid recently said he's not trash talking anymore. I think
Oh.
I think when they lost
Because he got his ego hurt after having Kawhi Leonard
yeah,
hit the
I
jump
think
shot.
after they got completely destroyed, or not destroyed, but like
They did,
egotistically
like,
destroyed in
they
Game
got
7.
this. Their hearts were destroyed.
I mean, Embiid was called out. He was lazy. He's out of shape. He's sick. He just needs to get a heart, or not get a heart. That
Get a
sounded
heart?
weird.
He's been playing without a heart for quite some time.
He needs not get a heart. He needs to.
No, we're gonna transplant this. Give that man a heart.
You mean like a will?
I mean,
like
he needs to play with some heart.
Okay. Okay.
So, anyways, but if any of you guys are willing to give a heart to Joel Embiid, he's in need of it at the moment.
Okay.
But anyways, back to my point. His ego probably got destroyed against the Raptors.
Right.
NBA greats like Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal, and great centers, some of the most dominant players in the NBA ever, were calling him out, saying he was lazy and out of shape.
Is Shaq really calling someone out for being lazy?
Yeah, there's that.
After the recent thing
He
with
did-
Kobe was like, he could have been so good if he wasn't so lazy.
Did you hear the Damian Lillard diss track?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But Joel Embiid, I think he probably hears that as much as he wants to say those guys are only relevant because of me. He's gonna keep that in the back of his mind. And then Al Horford, one of the more underrated signings of the summer, veteran presence with Joel Embiid.
Oh.
And you gotta, as much as Al Horford doesn't have much of the spotlight, you can't put one great defender on Joel Embiid and then have a bad defender on Al Horford. It kind of has to be. It's
Right.
not going to be split 50-50 because Embiid's the better
Al
player.
Horford's not that good. I think he's overrated.
very good.
I think
And
he's
then
overrated.
For his role, he's
Right.
not
He fits
expected
his role,
to be
but
the number
I mean,
one.
he goes and he averages like 13
Yep.
points.
He's better than Jimmy Butler on that team.
I agree.
I think
Oh, yeah,
Al
on the
Horford-
76ers, yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll contribute more. Like defensively, he'll more consistent with points at a higher field goal percentage and chemistry-wise with the leadership.
If Horford comes off the bench for the 76ers,
6 man of the year.
6 man of the year.
Change my pick.
Yep.
Change my pick. Sleeper.
Well, who would
Al
start
Horford.
it?
You heard it here
Al Horford
first.
or-
well,
Horford.
it's either going to be
Like Mike Scott.
like Simmons,
Or does he even still play?
Josh Richardson, Tobias at the 4,
Oh, Tobias.
Then
Oh,
Horford.
Tobias.
and then Joel Embiid, or they could go
Well,
small
Arrested
with
Development.
Tobias at the 4.
Wouldn't Tobias already just be starting at the 3? Or Josh Richardson? Well, what is their current starting 5?
What was it? Well, I guess since
Ben
they lost,
Simmons.
yeah.
Who would you put at the 2?
Yes, Josh Richardson.
Josh Richardson.
Mhm.
Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris.
Plus,
Al Horford.
they didn't really go out in free
And
agency
Joel
and
Embiid.
sign a true shooting guard,
Right.
which is why Josh Richardson would start there. But if they got a better shooter, then you'd probably push him down to small forward.
Yeah.
Al Horford to come off the bench. But if he does start, he's one of the best passing big men in the league. And then Joel Embiid doesn't have to worry about guarding every team's best center anymore. That's Al Horford's job. You can put more of your effort on offense, and then you can come over and get help side blocks while Al Horford locks down as the big man. So defensive stats might go up, blocks, and then points. He's already 27. That's all you need. Really need to win. That's all you really need to win an MVP.
Yeah.
If his assists
Top
can go
10, yeah.
up, that's really all there is. So I have to go with him. And if they get any more wins, Joel Embiid.
All right. Who's your MVP pick?
I just wanted to add on that. I do agree that he's upper echelon top player. I don't think he's going to be MVP, and I may be wrong about this, but I just have the label of him being injury prone.
Right.
I just feel like it's
His first
it's always cross
two
your
seasons, he played like 13 games.
yeah. It's
Right.
like cross your fingers. Will he make it? Now it's load management. Is it the knee? Is it the back? Is it your face? It's just I don't know.
Is it your heart?
Is it your heart?
heart.
Like what is going on?
Can't injure a heart.
So
if
I
you don't
just
have
don't. I don't trust that type of player. I just don't trust it because they're not reliable. You can't count on them. And
Right.
I may not have looked at these stats so close the last 2 years. Maybe he has played like 95% of his games. But my pick is Hollywood Lights. We have a lot of shine. I think for the first time in LeBron James's career, he will be second fiddle on the team. It will not be the best player on his team because of age. Just strictly because of age. It's finally the passing of the torch, and he's going to pass it to Anthony Davis. So that's my pick for MVP. I think that similar to like what LeBron did when he went to go play with the Heat and Chris Bosh passing the torch, similar to like the Shaq and the Kobe thing, he's going to be Hall of Fame lock, right, for both of them. But LeBron takes off the attention from Anthony Davis like he didn't really have in New Orleans. It's like you really can throw everything at him, and he had such great playoff series when they played Golden State. He couldn't be stopped. Like 40 points, 44 points. Everyone's after him. They know that's the only way New Orleans can score, and yet he's still able to produce points. I think his numbers are going to be through the roof. Like I feel like he's going to be the number one option for most of the plays. A lot of attention is going to be put on LeBron because he's going to be the point guard and he's going to be driving. And LeBron's such a good facilitator that's going to boost everybody's stats. But I can see Anthony Davis.
Yeah, but I feel like people are underrating LeBron as well. I think LeBron James is still the best player in the NBA because the thing is, LeBron James he was injured for a lot of last season.
Right.
So was Anthony Davis.
Yep.
So was Steph Curry. The past couple years, he's had ankle problems like he did earlier in his career.
Not for a whole season.
Yeah.
Not,
No, but
not for a
remember,
quarter of the season.
in 2017-18, he played like 50 games.
Curry?
Yes.
He missed like that last month and a
He
half
missed.
or so.
Remember,
But so
he
did
had a period.
Draymond, so did
he had
Clay,
a
so did
period
KD.
of
They
time.
all got
not
help.
this season, but just in the season where they won the chip against the Cavs for like the 5th straight year.
That was
their last
yeah,
year, their last
I remember.
championship.
I
they
know what
won.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
He would be out. He like injured his ankle the one time against in like December. I remember because I went to like a Golden State game pretty quickly after that, and he like didn't play for it. And then every game he would come back and get injured like 2 minutes into that game, and then he'd be out. He did that like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
He only played like 50 games that season, but a lot of people are counting him in as their MVP. I think people are really underrating LeBron. I think that if he puts an effort on defense. I mean, people act like LeBron had a bad season. He averaged 27, 8, and 8 for his career. He averages like 26, 7, and 8. He had an up year in terms of his stats.
Right.
But you could argue like stat inflation because he only played like half a season.
Right.
Yeah, but I think too, so what Matthew points to is that voter fatigue. Like, you have to be significantly better. There's a point in LeBron's career where he didn't win any MVP, and then we all three would agree he was the best player in the NBA. But now I think he just turned like 30.
Because he's the same player every year.
Yeah, he's the same player. It's just like, okay.
He's
now-
always dominant, but you can't have him win it every year.
Right.
Absolutely.
When he's not,
so that's
his game
why I
doesn't
don't
change.
think it's
Is
good.
that your pick?
For MVP, LeBron?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
I'm just saying I
Okay.
think people count him out too quickly.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I think he's going to be first team All NBA, but he's not MVP caliber anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's going to put up his career numbers or a little bit better, but if you don't have this breakaway year where you're so much significantly better than you have in your regular career, they're going to give it to people like Giannis or
Yeah, even like when
Harden when he's like
even
the gap between
guys
the next
like
scores 8,
I
9
mean
points.
if you were going simply off of who's the best player in the league, I mean LeBron would have a lot more MVPs than he does. He has 4 MVPs, right? He'd probably have like 6 or 7 at least.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you have to give it to the player that changes up their game the most and takes it to another level. That's the reason why in 2014-15, Steph Curry's first MVP.
Right.
That's the reason he won it. Like, you could argue James Harden, a lot of guys had better seasons than him, but that was the first year that he really established himself as an elite player in the league.
Or like you said, the value
Or
to
in
the
20
team,
yeah.
the team success. Like when you're
Right.
breaking an NBA record for most wins in a season, and you have catapulted your team from scraping into the playoffs, trying to get first, second round to being a contender for the championship. Like your value on that team
Because
is
because
astronomical.
that's the one thing that I think people don't make a good distinction. It's not best player, it's most valuable player.
Yeah.
if you had a guy
There's a little bit of overlap there,
yeah,
too.
but
like,
if you had a
not-
guy who averaged 9 points a game, but he was somehow the most important, the most influential player on that team, he's the most valuable player.
Yeah, but
he's
in
not gonna
terms of
win
the
No,
scale,
but he's not
too,
going to win
never.
it. But the fact is, it's not best player; it's most valuable.
Yeah.
Like,
if you would take them off,
who's better between D'Angelo Russell and RJ Barrett?
Player?
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell.
Who is going to be more involved in their team? Who's going to be more important to the team?
Like, for getting wins?
Yeah.
Probably RJ Barrett.
Right, because he's the only player that could get them a win. So for that team, he is a more valuable player, but that doesn't make him better. So that's the distinction I think that people don't make.
yeah, but
It's the reason LeBron doesn't win.
Yeah, but I think there is like it's a really cool algorithms you can have that win shares algorithm where if you took this player off, like how many wins do they really contribute to
Right.
their team? And do you know who the number 1 rated player is? Like how many wins they contribute to their team? Do you guys have a guess? They say about 13.7 wins. He was number 1 in the NBA last year to his team. The second player had like 13.2
I'm pretty sure
wins.
it's Steph Curry, right?
No,
I know
it's-
he's up there.
It was Harden.
Harden.
So Harden, if you removed him and placed him with like the average level shooting guard production, your team would win 13 fewer games. And then number 2 was Giannis at like 13.2. But like, who are the 2 guys in contention for MVP last year?
Giannis.
Both those
Yeah.
guys. So I mean, algorithm, no algorithm. I think we see the value with the stats.
Yeah. All right, my MVP pick. I've been mentioning him a lot in this video. I did put Steph Curry. I'm a little hesitant on that pick though, because he's not.
Because he injures his ankle every 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, just like me. But I'm not saying he's injury prone. He's not injury prone like.
I think he dissed that label, but he used to be.
He used to be, and he still is probably more injury prone than a lot of players. He's not one of those guys that you really have to worry, like, is he going to injure himself? But if he did, Golden State's going nowhere. If he gets, because the thing about ankle injuries, and I know this from personal experience, if you injure your ankle enough times, what can happen is you'll injure your Achilles.
Yeah.
And like an ankle injury isn't that bad, but once those ligaments in your foot get so it's so stretched and loose, that completely weakens the stability in your Achilles. And once you rupture your Achilles, that's a season-ending injury. You see the same thing with Kevin Durant. So if he were to do that as a
That's a
result
lot
of
of hypotheticals right there.
Yeah,
but
you
is it
do,
really?
like-
What is it really?
Can
How
I
many
present
times?
an alternate theory about the
Okay.
ankle? So you have those cross-hatch ligaments in your ankle.
Yeah.
The more times you injure them, the more they become like Gumby. They're just really loose, so you don't really injure them anymore. You can just like walk sideways like that.
Yeah, I mean, at a
Because
certain
check
point,
it out,
I guess.
Curry, like you have strong ankles, he injures it, he's done for like 8 weeks, 12 weeks. Now he has those ankle injuries all the time. 3 games, 4 games, he's back.
Or excuse me,
It doesn't
it's
hurt
not the
anymore.
looseness, it's the tightness. Excuse me, it's the tightness you get in your
Yes,
foot once
no.
you've injured enough time. Because then, like if you have like a loose foot, you could, just like
Yeah.
Gumby. But if you got a really tight foot and you turn it like
I
that,
feel
like
like
that's
his
it's
ankles are
gone.
straight loose right now. He doesn't have ankles anymore. We don't have to worry about ankle
He's
injuries.
lost all the ligaments in his foot. But I'm saying it's not as hypothetical as you think, because early in his career, he would miss like half a season.
Oh,
Right,
because
but never
and-
anything
Yeah,
like
but you're also
Achilles.
talking about
Well,
you're
the
talking
ankles
about
are-
10 years ago, Jack. He dropped in like 2009.
10 years ago, but the past couple seasons.
no, I
it's
think
happened a
he's been
few
a
times.
Golden State fan. He's been pretty steady.
I'm
Like
saying he's been pretty steady.
I don't.
But I'm saying if it were to happen, Golden State's going
Alright,
nowhere.
but Jack, let's be honest. Most of the times he's missed games, like he misses It's not like LeBron where he gets out with one injury for a chunk of time.
Right, it's like a
lot of
small
Steph
injury and
Curry's
he's out for a
injuries
couple
are
games.
small injuries.
Yeah.
Small injuries
towards
add
the
up.
end of the year when the Warriors have won, when the Warriors are going to be the
Well, what
one
about-
seed,
Yeah.
when the Warriors know that Steph Curry needs to be playing in the finals, so they know that ankle it is kind of hazardous, but
Yeah.
I'm
if
just
it
saying
was a
small
finals
injuries
game,
add
then-
up. I'm saying if it were to happen, Golden State's out of the discussion. They're not a playoff.
But who is your MVP?
Steph Curry, if he
Okay.
can stay healthy. That's the only reason I was slightly.
But he's
Hesitant
going to
to
have to
put
hit over 408
Well, every
three-pointers, 'cause
player,
that's his
if they
last
stay healthy.
MVP.
Yeah, but not every player
I
is
think
as
there's
injury
Steph
prone as
Curry
Steph Curry.
fatigue.
And he does. He is inconsistent at times. Because what is he going to do against a
He's
team like?
consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean because
You're very passionate about it.
I know because I'm thinking what is he going to do against the Clippers? Patrick Beverley's guarding him, one of the better defensive point guards in the league. I mean, imagine you're playing against the Clippers. You're being guarded by Patrick Beverley. Then you switch on to Paul George. Then you switch on to Kawhi Leonard. What are you going to do?
Yeah, he
You know?
does. He does
So
struggle
if
with
he's
the
their
most
sole
elite.
focus,
Yeah.
then if they lock him down, which the three of them could easily lock him and D'Angelo Russell down, they have nothing.
But you're talking about the Clippers, like when they face them, would be in the second half of the season, where you'd hopefully
But in the
have Klay
playoffs,
Thompson.
what about in the
You have
playoffs?
Klay
If they-
Thompson back,
Right.
Draymond Green, and I think they played really well without Kevin Durant up until they got to the finals and faced like a heavy defensive team.
Yeah, but if you're starting Klay Thompson at the 3, D'Angelo Russell at the 2, and Steph Curry at the 1, well, where would you start Paul George, at the 4? And then Kawhi at the 3? Or how would you arrange them?
I would
How do you
do-
think they'll be arranged?
Patrick Beverly, Kawhi. Not
Kawhi
Kawhi.
the two?
Patrick Beverly, Paul George, Kawhi,
Mm-hmm.
Michael
So-
Green.
Okay, so let's say I got
Embiid,
Paul George at the
Zubac.
2. Paul George can guard Klay Thompson. Patrick Beverly can guard Steph Curry somewhat. And Kawhi Leonard can guard Klay
D'Angelo.
Thompson. Or whichever, who's guarding
Right.
who. So then who do you use, Draymond? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I'm saying against elite point guards and against elite defenders, Steph Curry doesn't always show up.
Right.
The way
Yeah.
that, like,
But he doesn't. I mean,
Kevin Durant
the
would.
beauty of Golden State ball, and there was that Sports Illustrated article with like Kevin Durant, like maybe wanting more isolation, is that they play such good team ball that relies on passes that you don't have to create your own shot. The system creates a shot
Right,
for you.
yeah.
And whoever is open will shoot. So yeah, there are individual defensive battles going on, but when that ball is moving, like we saw in the first 3
Yeah.
rounds of the playoffs, like open shooters are going to shoot. So the key to Golden State is, can we have more shooters?
Right.
Because the plays will design to open.
You'll get
someone to
open
shoot.
shots. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of can you make
Right.
them.
Yeah, I mean, when you're scoring over 110 points a game, like you can have the world's best defenders on you. You're still able to produce. So I don't know. I think
Yeah.
he will definitely get his stats in the playoffs against a team like the Clippers. He's done well his entire career against the Clippers. Granted, they have George and Kawhi now, but I don't know.
All right, so
Yeah.
my sleeper pick, the initial one I had down,
This is
Oh,
crazy.
was the decoy.
What do you mean? Because you changed it after realizing how crazy it is?
No, I never thought. I just didn't know what to say. But now, as
Okay.
I work better when I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, me
All right.
too.
I just
I never
go,
wanna see
I
a
just
card
go
again.
off of what everybody says.
Go off of instinct.
Who's
So
your sleeper pick?
my new sleeper pick 2.0,
Okay.
is Kemba Walker.
Oh.
We've been talking a lot about the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics. Last year, I was kind of in a mental conundrum where I wanted Kevin Durant to win the championship, but I was tired of the Warriors, and I didn't know who else to root for, so I was like, I don't know, I guess the Celtics.
Okay.
So now, I feel like I pretended that they were my favorite team all of last year, because I just wanted to hide the fact that I wanted Kevin Durant to win another championship. So now I kind of feel like I've made a bond towards them. And
Okay.
I can't decide if they're my favorite team. I'm kind of in
It
another
takes a long time.
mental state where I can't figure it out, because ever since Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City, I haven't loved the team, Jack.
All right.
It's been rough, but
So
that's why Joel Embiid is going to give me his heart.
Oh, no, you're gonna give Joel Embiid your heart.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're switching.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyways, I don't know why I said all of that, but anyway, because Kemba plays for the Celtics.
Yeah.
Right. It was a wholesome speech.
But as a Celtics fan now, and paying attention to all of what happened with FIBA and how a quarter of that team was Celtics players, I feel like the chemistry, at least,
It's got to be.
is going to improve him from being, let's say, if we're rating players like 2K, from if he's an 89 overall, chemistry with the teammates brings him to a 90. Like, it raises your, not necessarily your skill level,
It
but
raises how well you're gonna play.
it raises how well you're going to play night
Right.
in and night out. If you're not yelling at your teammates, if you're not yelling at fans, if you like Thanksgiving, like Kyrie Irving, who dislikes it apparently.
Oh, Kyrie Irving. What does he hate it? Because he.
Well, no, he said
It's,
expletive Thanksgiving to a fan.
I thought it was based off of like the holiday that like exploited Native Americans.
That's what I thought it would be.
Like,
Because he's so like he's got like such progressive opinions that it's just strange.
Like
his whole
said the
flat
Earth
Earth
is
thing.
flat.
That's the opposite of progressive.
That's
Yeah.
very regressive.
Yeah, but anyways, so
But everyone goes through their conspiracy theory phase.
I've
Right? Have
never
you been
one,
there yet?
never once
I
thought
was
the Earth
gonna-
was flat.
I had
Yeah.
a conspiracy a little bit earlier that I didn't say, but I feel like in like 10 years we're gonna find out like Kyrie Irving, like from late October last year to like now, like this rest of the time has been like a body double.
It's a different guy.
And like Kyrie said, I would love to stay in Boston, and then they were like, all right, let's get him now.
Like the Paul McCartney thing.
Yes.
Like where everyone thought he had died.
Right. Like what is Avril Lavigne?
I haven't heard that one.
She's a Canadian singer.
Yeah, she's the one that.
That's all I know.
Yeah, but like there's a theory that she died and she got replaced with a body
Oh.
double. That's my theory about Kyrie Irving. But
Okay.
anyways, back to my
Kemba.
sleeper pick for MVP, Kemba Walker. I think the Celtics, they could improve because last year they weren't great. They were still around 50 wins. So there is a little bit of room for improvement because they still have some solid players. I think
with the bad taste that was put with Kyrie, Kemba Walker is automatically going to look like an improvement, which automatically makes him look like, instead of a 90, it looks like he's a 93. So,
Right.
Kemba Walker is my sleeper.
My sleeper is, and we were just talking about him, Kyrie Irving. And the only reason I say this is because Brooklyn's not going to improve, not without Kevin Durant. Oh, and speaking of which, I honestly thought when you changed up your MVP pick that you were going to say it's Kevin Durant because they're going to do bad without him, and you're like, well, that just shows how valuable he is. I thought you were actually going to try to argue that.
That's great.
But
he may come back in the playoffs, or absolutely.
No, they confirmed he's out for the whole year. But
He's running.
Brooklyn isn't going to improve that much. Kyrie Irving isn't so much better than D'Angelo Russell that they're going to be much better than they were last year. They're going to be like the 6th or 7th seed again. And they'll get taken out in like the 1st or 2nd round.
Right.
And I don't know. I just think Kyrie Irving, because they got so much attention for getting Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, I think there will be more spotlight on Kyrie Irving than there was on D'Angelo Russell. So I think people are going to be paying more attention to how he does, and if he does really well, then I think if he can play how everyone expected him to in Boston, then I think he could be a dark horse candidate for MVP, or even not even a dark horse. Maybe he could be an actual contender.
Yeah, because he was when he first went to Boston after demanding the trade from Cleveland. I think he was MVP caliber numbers, and then the minutes of the NBA caught up with him, and then he was hurt for the playoffs. I like the Kyrie pick. Definitely a lot of opportunity there, especially without Kevin Durant to, hey, this is the ball, this is your show, go get it. And whenever you have that mentality like James Harden, you can put up some pretty staggering numbers that will impress MVP voters. I'm starting to put him, though, in my Joel Embiid category with being hurt all the time.
Right.
It just seems like it's just the wear and tear. Some people's bodies, usually the super freaks and the really athletic ones, just can't sustain for 82 games in that amount of minutes. So unless they do something creative with load management, or maybe he's going to Germany to get the blood transfusions or whatever, it's gonna be a rough NBA.
Along with Joel Embiid going to get his heart.
And Joel Embiid getting his heart. So my sleeper pick, Jack, I match with you with your original pick. I think that a lot of people are counting out Golden State. I mean, you look at some of those projections and polls, who's going to finish, and to me, they were better as a team against most NBA teams without Kevin Durant, right?
Yeah.
Just as a team.
Matthew.
Hey,
Matthew.
No. But I will give Kevin Durant all the credit in the world. Against the top tier teams, they were better with Kevin Durant. Because you just need to score that ISO ball, get us a point, stop this momentum, and he's an awesome, underrated defensive player.
Yeah.
So I feel like throughout the course of the regular season, you play most average teams. You may play the upper echelon, however many times in your schedule. But I think Steph Curry,
because against average teams, you can get so caught up in Kevin Durant playing like ISO ball that they don't realize that they're up 20 points at halftime because Kevin Durant's playing well. Matthew, I know you're very intently listening for any Kevin Durant hate. There's none here, but I think that Golden State will be up like 20 at the half, but Kevin Durant's playing a lot of ISO ball.
Can't wait for the 2-year anniversary special where I name Kevin Durant not only most improved but MVP.
How can he be most improved?
Because he didn't play last year.
That doesn't count. Okay.
That will never count, right?
But
Derrick
no.
Rose.
0 points for
Derrick
you.
Rose one time. Hurt, and then he came back. He's the most improved.
I think that I thought that teams would sneak up on, they'd be up 20 at halftime and then they'd come back and win because Golden State had so many superstars that they became less focused on the team, less focused on staying ahead. They were like, we can just kind of just mess around.
Yeah.
And they'd cause a lot of turnovers, and before you know it, the team's within 15, they're within 10, they're within 5. So I think that in clutch time scenarios, Kevin Durant was a great asset for them, especially in the playoffs.
I agree.
They probably would not have won, or at least they wouldn't have won their rings as easily without Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I think as a team overall, against elite teams, they're better with Kevin Durant. But I think in general, their system is better.
Yeah, because you look without Kevin Durant. I mean, they made it to the finals. They made it to the finals without Kevin Durant. But then you finally
you could even argue that they would have won if it weren't for like suspensions and injuries.
Absolutely, yeah, with like Klay Thompson being hurt.
Yeah.
But the most talented team they played was the Raptors that they faced last year.
Well,
more talented.
Well, I guess because the Cavs team,
Also defensive rating too, because when you looked at the teams they played up until the Raptors, like they were ranked 20th, 22nd, 25th. They played the Raptors was the first team they played a top 5 defensive team in the playoffs, and Cleveland used to do that to them. They always had difficulty with the Spurs, like really tough defensive teams that get into that half court ball they can struggle with.
Yeah, and Cleveland was never a top defensive team when they played Golden State. So this was the first time that they had like a real opponent.
Right.
I'm not like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to disrespect Cleveland. Like
It's not that Cleveland was bad. It's just that Golden State was so good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Young in their primes.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So we've got all our picks. So that concludes the 1 year anniversary special. Thank you guys for 65 subscribers, thousands of views,
And about 65 minutes of content.
Yep.
That's
So
awesome.
I hope you guys enjoyed. Get prepared for the next video where we'll keep discussing playoffs, things like that, and then 2 years will be around the corner, just
And
as soon
in
as
like
it-
just a little bit
just
over a year.
just
Yeah.
about a year. Yep. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to keep watching. Let's try to keep growing. Let's try to get to I don't know what's good by 2 years. 150. See if we can about double a little bit over double
Wait,
it.
views or subscribers?
Subscribers. See if we can get to
150 subscribers by the next
150
anniversary.
subscribers by the 2 year anniversary. Jack, Z, me, Stretch, Nathan, if they're all here. Any other guests that we eventually have.
Yeah.
We'll do something crazy for you guys. So let's see what we can do. Try to get to 150. That's the challenge. But since I said it so late in the video, I'll probably put it in the description or put it on Instagram. But let's just see what we can do. 150 maybe. And thank you guys for 1 year of great content. Hopefully you thought. One
It
year
was-
of
it was
great,
pretty good.
1 year of great fun. at
Yeah.
least for me.
Yes.
It's good fun.
So I hope you guys enjoyed and keep watching. And for Stretch, debate mates.